Alright, let's see, what to recap? Star versus the Forces of Evil? Nah, not now. Avatar? Still haven't seen it. Steven Universe? Maybe I can squeeze a few more videos out of that, but nah. Ugh, screw it. I just want to talk about The Owl House. So, if you don't know, The Owl House is one of the latest hit cartoons to come out of the Disney Channel. It's a fantasy, comedy, adventure, slice of life thing in the same vein as Gravity Falls and Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And it is really good. I mean, it's only one season in, but I'm already hooked. And since we don't really know when a season 2 is coming, I figured why not go ahead and recap everything that's happened so far? You know, for fun. But before we get started, I just want to say if you like these recaps and cartoon videos that I do, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button below this video and ring the little gray bell next to it to make sure you never miss a future video. Also, I'm happy to announce that we've got some brand new merch for sale in the FootofaFerret store. You've probably seen the classic Brief History logo t-shirt, like the one I wear in every video. Well, now you can have it in hoodie form. The hoodie is super comfortable and unique from the shirt too, with a cool front and back design. And for extra comfort, there are some cozy and colorful FootofaFerret socks too. They got the Brief History logo front and center, and the color scheme is just too cool. But it's not just clothes. We've got a really nice enamel pin set now too. There's me, the Brief History logo, and most importantly, my hat, the key piece to the FootofaFerret lore. And these aren't your average pins that are like the size of a dime either. These things are pretty big, and I think that's dope. I like them so much that I even turned them into Christmas ornaments back in December. And last but not least, allow me to introduce you to the official FootofaFerret An Island t-shirt. I love this design so much, it's too cute. For all you guys out there who love watching Fofi's misadventures on an island, this is the shirt for you. So that's a new shirt, hoodie, pins, and socks, plus the classic Brief History logo and I Am the Salt t-shirts, all available right now at the link in the description or in the merch shelf right below this video. But I'll let you in on a little secret. If you check them out on the website, they all have these little hidden descriptions that I wrote myself, and I made them really stupid and silly, so it's a little extra something. But seriously guys, buying merch is a great way to support the channel, so if you decide to check it out, I really, really appreciate it. And with all that out of the way, this is everything you need to know about the Owl House. So far. So, the Owl House is all about this girl named Luce. She's a quirky nerd with an overactive imagination that always gets her in trouble. In fact, the first time we see her, she's in the principal's office for accidentally letting a bunch of snakes loose at school. And her mom is just tired of it. So, she's shipping her off to a summer camp to make her normal. Top tier parenting right there. Kid too creative? Are they too happy? Just make them someone else's problem for a while, and when they get back, they'll have the personality of a plank of wood. Good job! But while Luce waits for the bus to camp, out of nowhere, this random owl snatches one of her things and runs off with it. In the middle of the day! Weird. She chases the owl into this abandoned, rundown house, goes through this really creepy looking door, and somehow is transported to a crazy fantasy realm. Huh. Wow. That was fast. This is the Boiling Isles, a magical realm built from the remains of a titan, also known as just like a really tall dude. All the stuff we consider fantasy junk on Earth, yeah, all that's real in the Boiling Isles. Fairies, griffins, demons, witches, and more. Speaking of witches, while Luce is still freaking out over somehow jumping dimensions, she meets a witch named Eda the Owl Lady. Eda's a bit of a scam artist, sending her pet owl to the human world through this fold-up portal door to collect garbage she can sell to people in the Boiling Isles. She's also wanted by the police. It's a fun fact for you. So when Luce draws a crowd to Eda's little flea market booth, a cop shows up to arrest her. But Eda's like, ha! Nah, dude, it's episode 1, I ain't getting caught, and speeds off, taking Luce with her. They soon wind up at Eda's house. You know, the Owl House. Where Luce meets Eda's roommate.
The ferocious, the evil, the king of demons.
He's just a tiny little baby!
Eda and Luce make a deal. Eda will help Luce get back home if she helps them break into a prison called the Conformatorium to steal back King's crown. It's not like Luce has any other options, so she agrees, they get inside the prison, find King's, Burger King crown, frickin' clickbait, start a prison riot, and escape in one piece. Eda keeps up her half of the deal and opens a portal to send Luce home. But, given the choice between an awesome fantasy world where she can be herself and a boring summer camp that will literally erase all her personality, Luce makes the pretty obvious choice to stay in the Boiling Isles. Which is good, because if she hadn't, we wouldn't have a show. So now Luce is living in the Owl House, while lying to her mom that she's at summer camp because apparently there are cell towers that connect between realms. She's working for Eda, learning to become a witch, and finding out that the fantasy life ain't all it's cracked up to be. Yeah, Luce's excitement over her magical fantasy life goes south pretty fast since Eda's not really holding up her end of the bargain. Instead of teaching Luce about magic, she's mostly just giving her odd jobs and chores.
Rip-off artist! Ow! My chin!
So in the meantime, Luce goes exploring and makes a couple friends, Willow and Gus. These two are students at Hexside School of Magic and Demonics. Yep, we got a wizard school on our hands. Willow and Gus sneak Luce around the school, cause she's not really supposed to be there, and of course, hijinks ensue and Luce is banned from Hexside by the end of the day. And Eda loves that. We already know she's a bit of a rebel, but she really hates this witch school and the entire magic industry? Is that the right word? See, in the Boiling Isles, there are these things called covens. They're basically your majors in magic school, the specialty you choose to dedicate your magic powers to. Sounds cool, but when you choose a coven, all your other magic is locked away. That is, unless you make it into the fancy pants Emperor's Coven. Eda hates all that, so she never joined a coven, which is a big no-no. That's why the cops are always after her. She's sticking it to the man. And then there's Lilith. Lilith is the leader of the Emperor's Coven, a super powerful witch, and Eda's sister. Being the head of the Emperor's Coven, she's the one in charge of hunting down Eda. She's always trying to catch her, arrest her, and convince her to just join the Emperor's Coven already. So yeah, they don't get along. It's pretty easy to see why Eda hates all this coven stuff. But even with all that, she still hasn't done much to teach Luce any magic herself. Well, at least not directly. See, one of the few times Eda reluctantly decided to actually teach Luce something, she was like, ugh, fine, just make a circle in the air using the power stored inside the gross green sack attached to your heart and boom. But I don't have a green sack attached to my— Don't care, goodbye, going to sleep forever. Well, that was a bust. Oh god, giant monster! So yeah, fun fact, Eda's cursed. She doesn't remember why. All she knows is that she has to take her medicine or else— Yeah. So while Luce is dealing with that, she discovers that even though humans have no magic ability, she can cast spells of her own using an ancient method called drawing. By drawing these glyphs, Luce can actually do magic, and no one really knows how it works. But she just happens to learn this handy-dandy new skill just in time to turn Eda back to normal. Hooray! Eda's not an owl beast anymore, King still hasn't done much for the overall plot, and Luce is finally learning to become a witch. But there's another witch in training who's not too keen on Luce's antics. Introducing Amity. She's the top student at Hexside, and she has had Luce on her crap list ever since she got banned from school. At least, that's how it started. After learning more about each other through several near-death experiences, Amity and Luce start to see more eye to eye. Eventually, Luce learns that Amity is just under a lot of pressure to live up to unrealistic expectations. Amity learns that Luce is just trying to find her way in this crazy new world, and eventually, they become friends, which is nice, but I mean, they don't really see each other a ton. It's not like they go to the same school or anything. Hey kid, I don't really know what I'm doing, so you're going to school now, okay, bye. Okay, sure. Eda went down to Hexside, spoke to the principal, got the ban lifted, somehow didn't get arrested in the process, and now Luce is going to witch school. Hooray! School is cool. Ugh. Being at Hexside's going alright for Luce. Or, well, it's a cartoon about magic school, so obviously going alright means constantly getting in trouble, fighting off monsters, and nearly dying on a weekly basis. You know, high school. But then, Grom comes around. Grom is Hexside's version of prom. There's music and dancing and a fight to the death between one chosen student and a monster that manifests itself as their greatest fears. You know, high school. And this year, the chosen student is Amity. Oh boy. Well, at least we got to know her a bit before she dies. Actually, Luce decides to take Amity's place and face her own fear instead. This goes okay, until it doesn't. The Grom monster takes the form of Luce's mom, scolding her over lying about going to camp, and Luce just can't confront it. But then Amity steps in to save Luce from Grom. The monster shapeshifts to become Amity's biggest fear, and all it does is take a piece of paper out of her pocket and rip it up. The paper read, "Will you go to Grom with me?" Luce sees this and was like, "Aw, you were afraid of getting rejected, you stupid idiot." And then the two defeat Grom together through the power of dance! So everything was fine in the end. But wait! The other half of Amity's note has become unfolded. The entire note reads, "Luce, will you go to Grom with me?" So while the fandom freaks out over that, let's pop back over to Eda. While Luce is going to school, learning magic, and making friends, Eda's struggling. Her curse is getting worse. It takes more elixirs and more of Eda's own magic to keep the Owl Beast at bay. Lilith keeps telling her that if she just joins the Emperor's coven, the Emperor could heal the curse himself. But yeah, that's a no-go. Then one day, Luce and her friends take a field trip to the Emperor's castle right around the same time Lilith barges into said castle after another failed attempt to arrest Eda. Luce follows her to the Emperor's room, and this place is creepy, man. There's a giant green heart pumping over the throne, and as Lilith approaches, the Emperor is struggling to breathe. But then he cracks open whatever this is, pours hot soup in his eyes, and he's suddenly better. This is normal. Very normal. But yeah, this is Emperor Bellows. 50 years ago, he rose to power claiming that he could speak to the Titan that birthed the Boiling Isles and said everyone was doing magic wrong. They were all using magic freely, like Eda. But Bellows was like, no. So he created the Coven system and punished anyone who didn't fall in line. Emperor Bellows promised to heal Eda's curse if Lilith can arrest her and bring her to him. But if Lilith fails, she'll be fired and treated like a criminal. So while Luce is sneaking around the castle, Lilith attacks and takes her hostage to draw Eda out. The two then meet at the castle for a duel. They're flying through the air, teleporting, zapping each other, all psew, 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 and it's really cool. But then Lilith's like, "Oh, by the way, that curse that ruined your life? Yeah, that was me. I did that. And I feel bad about it, but I'm gonna throw your kid off a cliff now." So, that's a thing now. Truth's out, Eda's furious, and Luce is falling to her death. And flashback time! So, way back when Eda and Lilith were kids, they were training at Hexside, and for their final exam, they'd have to battle each other to decide who would enter the Emperor's coven. But Lilith knew Eda was better than her, so she put a curse on her that she thought would stop her powers for a day. Instead, it just turned her into a giant owl beast. Eda didn't even want to join the coven. You didn't have to do any of this. But oh well, this is reality now. Eda is now forever cursed for no good reason, and Lilith just takes her place at the Emperor's coven. Flash forward back to the action. Luce is still falling to her death, but Eda quickly casts a spell to save her, using up the last of the magic keeping her from permanently becoming the Owl Beast. Alright, cool. So we all hate Lilith now, right? We're in agreement here? Sick. But the Emperor promised to heal Eda, right? That's why Lilith's been doing all this. Well, guess what? Bellows lied, refuses to heal Eda, and now he's gonna turn her into petrified stone and force everyone to watch. Whoopsies! Oopsie poopsies! Luce and King manage to infiltrate the castle and find Eda, who comes to her senses long enough to give Luce the portal to the human realm and tell her to go home. Eda is then carted away to be petrified. Big poopy. But then Lilith shows up and asks to work with Luce to make things right. Big poopy? But, of course, the Emperor immediately captures them. Big poopy. Bellows makes Luce a deal. He'll let Luce go to save her friends in exchange for the portal to the human realm. We don't really know why he wants it yet, but it's probably for bad reasons. But Luce agrees, only to pull a fast one on the Emperor, using her magic to rig the portal to explode, stopping the Emperor's plans, but destroying her only way back home. Luce then stops the petrification, escapes with her friends, and heads back to the Owl House. Lilith redeems herself by casting a spell to give herself half of Eda's curse, which turns Eda back to normal, but her magic's still gone. But hey, now Luce gets to teach Eda how to do all that cool paper magic stuff. Everyone is safe, and they all lived happily ever after. For now? Yeah, all this was just season 1. The Emperor still has some tricks up his sleeve. It all has to do with something called the Day of Unity and this giant machine he's building out of the remains of Eda's portal door. Plus, Luce's mom keeps getting all of these letters from Luce at camp that she definitely isn't sending. So even though so much has already happened in just this one season, the Owl House is just getting started. But I can't help but feel like I've forgotten something. I've covered every major plot point across all the episodes, I got most of the big cliffhangers, but I just feel like something's missing. I forgot Hootie! How could you forget about the best character in the show, Hoot Hoot? I protect the house, I'm a magical beast.
Okay, maybe I should have just done another Steven Universe video.